で、移動すると。はあ。いやー、シャーロック・ホームズといったらこの服装だよね。お
The police? Already? How did you know?
May we see the Bishop of Knightsbridge?
Yes. Yes, of course. But come in.
キリスト教神的ね。
What has happened, Reverend?
What? I don't know. It was last night, I think. I only just arrived, and I have made this macabre discovery. My God. How horrible. I haven't called anyone. How did you know that?
Holmes! Look!
Whoa!
Appallingly mutilated. How dreadful.
Mutilated.
あらまあ。
And killed. He was such a good man. How could anyone be so brutal? Look at him. He is barely recognizable now. How could any of God's children be responsible for that?
They were evidently unworthy children, Reverend. Now do please try to calm yourself and focus, because we will need your assistance. Do you have any idea as to the motive behind this?
I haven't had time to do an inventory, but nothing appears to have been stolen. And anyway, His Excellency didn't own anything of great value. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Note this down, please, Doctor.
Doctor? But you aren't the police?
No, Reverend. I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We are here at the request of the Bishop.
In that case, I must ask you to leave, and not to touch anything. I must get in touch with the authorities without further delay.
Reverend, when the inspectors of Scotland Yard find themselves at a dead end, which they quite often do, I assure you, then they turn to me for help. If you will allow us to continue our investigation, then you shall have the answers to all of your questions.
Out of the question! I don't even know you! I'm going to call the police, whether you like it or not.
It would be better for everyone, Reverend, if you kept your temper. Watson, are you taking notes? This affair promises to be a complex one. Therefore, we must not overlook the slightest detail.
Yes, Holmes. I am keeping a meticulous set of notes. I have created a very clever deduction board. One thing we can be sure of at the moment is that this crime was not for gain. The Reverend has informed us that nothing valuable was stolen, and indeed, it would seem that the Bishop had nothing of any worth to take.
Very good, Watson. Do continue.
なるほど。司教は金庫を含めて効果の所持をしていなかった。なるほど。です。これを推理しましょうか。これで推理パート始まると。ほー、なるほど。
There is blood on this paperweight.
気づいてますね。何個してる？
Broken file and blood near the neck.
What a strange smell. Chemical components, I think.
化学成分。
A bottle of whiskey. I can make out fingerprints stained with blood and dirt.
なるほど。えらいことになってますね。
You can see by his expression that he suffered terribly.
His mouth is covered in blood, and I can make out strips of skin between his.
豪快にやられましたね。
You can see
his
chest has been lacerated, I would say, with a very sharp and fine
やっぱ
blade.
り。
You can see by his
mouth.
他はなさそうやな。足元もすごいことになってるね。やけどか。まあ、このやけど見るとなんか仕言葉でもよう見てるからな。やけどじゃないけど。
His feet have been burned.
My first impression is that he wears a size 9 shoe.
You! But what does it matter, Holmes?
A piece of rope that was used to tie up that poor man.
なんかある。
A finger. Apparently it doesn't belong to the
指。
How dreadful.
恐ろしくねえか。殺人事件にしてはすごいね。他は
Something is missing here.
Oh yes? And what might that be?
His shoes. Watson, his shoes are missing.
靴ないな。
A broken bottle of whiskey. However, the Bishop of Knightsbridge was known for his sobriety. It would seem that the brutes who tortured the bishop to death were intoxicated with alcohol.
ここは
This metal rod is for fastening the chilies.
A whip?
No, it is a discipline for
非常道
self-flagellation.
具
It's a cilice designed to bruise the person wearing it. The bishop wore it as repentance. This very pious man must have had the habit of mortifying his flesh as a means of repentance.
他はないかな。調べるとここは
I need something. I need something. Impossible to open it.
何か必要ですよって感じか。
Reverend, I'm missing something, an implement with which to open this chest. Could you tell me where to
教
find
え
it?
てくれるか牧師
Go to the devil.
でしょう
What are
ね
you afraid of, Reverend? What is inside the chest?
I'm not afraid of anything. In fact, I do have the necessary implements, but if I have to give them to anyone, it will be to a representative of the law and no one else.
なんか怪しいね牧師怪しいね封鎖してましたね。金庫もなんか怪しいで。気がついてるね。気を飲ませた。はあ。なかなか難しいね。
What do you think, Holmes?
お
A surgical scalpel
メス
covered in blood. There isn't any doubt. The wounds on the bishop were administered with this scalpel.
メスで。
Closed. The veranda door hasn't been
No.
forced. Strange. Reverend, might I have the key?
No! You have no authority here. Let me call the police.
Perhaps we should listen to him, Holmes.
Perhaps you should let me get on with this, Watson.
Hmm. かな
This door has not been forced. Where does it lead, Reverend?
To His Excellency's room. There is just a mattress and a stool.
なるほど。
The bishop's bedroom. It is very austere. Nothing in particular here.
なんか絶対手がかりあれねな、こういうのって。
The picture of Peregrine Maitland, commander of the infantry brigade of Her Majesty's Guards
そ
at
んな人いるん
Waterloo.
や。
The Bishop of Knightsbridge has the same name as his ancestor, an illustrious family.
この金庫っぽいのがすごい気になるけどね。
I am missing. I need.
亀裂がある
These
ぞ。
traces reveal that the thieves tried to open this chest. These traces.
これ見たな。ここがあった。
This stove is filled to overflowing.
人形。手見てなかったな。
The
えらいや
fingers
け
have
ど
been
が
crushed
すごい
and。violently struck. The fingers have been crushed and violently struck.
この紐っぽいな、何？
I'd say that he was eaten alive. Yet I've noticed a curious degeneration of the skin tissue around the wounds.
My dear friend, everything points to this man having gnawed at his own forearms.
That's unbelievable, Holmes.
自分自身に噛みついたのか？こっちもこっち見てなかったな。
The thing.
お？そこか、わかんねえ。
His stomach is covered in scratches. Quite evidently, they weren't made recently.
So, these wounds were not made by his murderers.
なるほど。疾患として痛みに慣れていた。肛門にしては白いけどね。おお、これでつながった。確かに望みはできなかったんでしょうね。金庫開けれなかったからって。そんな気がするわ。まあとりあえずまだまだあるってことやな。ホビンが何度？お？
Watch where you're putting your feet, Watson. Have you noticed these prints upon the ground?
Well, yes, those muddy marks.
See here, Watson. Footprints can often provide more vital information than the very best of informants.
Yes, if you know how to make them talk, that is.
It's child's play, Watson. We will begin by excluding the contaminating prints, which are yours and mine from where we came in, and those of our dear Reverend who was so impatient to call the police. I need something. A fragment of stone. Peculiar. This print came from an expensive pair of shoes, and it seems recent. It is not a laborer's shoe. I need... Size 9. Size 9.5.
9.5
Size 9.
これとこれ一緒やな。
Size 9. Size 9.5. Size 9. Hobnail boots like those worn by... Nothing of interest here.
どれやろう。
That's not right. Start again. That's not right. Start.
犯人やろ。3人。
Perfect. We now know that there were
3
three
人いるやろ
crooks.
な、3個6。
6色あるから3人だね。
形それはないやろ。
That's not right. Start
違
again.
うんか。でも石ころあったか違うよな。
Strange but true. One of the crooks was wearing a different pair of shoes when he left here. Therefore, we have 3 men who came in and left again. But one of them was wearing a different pair of shoes from the ones which he came in with.
So, all we have to do is look for a workman who likes Italian shoes.
殺人犯の一人は気が狂って去った。かな。
いろいろと推理しています。
Perfect.
ああ、ようやく
It
出
is
た。
evident that the Bishop of
大体ようやく
Knightsbridge's
分かった。
killers were after something specific, and that they did not find it. Reverend, I shall ask you one more time. Open the chest. The item they were seeking must still be inside. It is unlikely that they will let this matter rest. They will most certainly return to finish what they started.
And I'm telling you once more, the chest is locked and shall remain
絶
so.
対なんか
Very
嘘っぽい
well.
け
We
どな。
have reached an impasse. You are a stubborn man, Reverend. Watson, accompany our friend to the police station and return with Inspector Baines. Baines and no one else. I shall wait for you here. Go. Alone at last. Now I can continue my investigation.
だからいろいろと出そうな予感はら。
一人で探す。ようやくまあ推理が少しずつやけど進んでいってるのが面白いね。ちょっと難しいけど。
K-SHO さんの名探偵の記憶が大変だろうな。
これがね、なんやろな。割れたコインの上の方に血がついているけど、血を伸ばせたことはないやろな。中身ちゃおうかな。で、俺はもう。お、なんだなんだ。ああ、びっくりした。トロフィー的なのか。ああ、これで15回手助けしたからか。ヒントくれーって。ヒントないとわからないんだわ、俺、意外と。変わった。
I need something. This lock should be easy to pick. Let's see.
まさか。
This lock should be easy to pick.
おお。
まさかのそれで
何これ
かよ。
あれやん、もろ、警察のあれあれじゃ、泥棒のあれ
That's not right. Start again.
ああ、そういうことね。で、これで上に行って、
That's not right. Start again.
あ、上のやつがあれがヒントになってるから、それを見てやれってこと。
そういうことだね。早送り再生しています。
This lock.
There we are. It is
おー、
simplicity
よかった、よ
itself.
かった。ちょっとわかりにく
There
い。
isn't anything much in this room. It must be used as a reading or meditation room.
なあ
This inkwell was tipped over recently.
インクです。
This inkwell.
インクや最近倒れてるのがあります。お、なんかある。
Apparently, someone wanted to hide this statue. This horse resembles a large chess piece.
馬のチェス。
There is a message underneath this statue. Let's see.
独特な影のないのチェスに対する両に対してナイトをすべての目を置いて最後に試す。上にナイスに置くすな。
This message was written by a woman,
女性
but for whom was it intended?
チェス
Interesting, this chess game.
あれチェス
An
ですか
ink stain.
はあ
An ink stain. An ink. An ink stain, quite fresh. This stain is just on the edge of the rug. Let's see. There is nothing on the floor, yet the ink must have soaked through the
絶対
rug.
なんか言いそう。
The
なん
ink
か
stain on the floor comes from the
亀
ink on the
裂っぽい
rug,
のを入れて規
but
約
they are
性。
not in the same place. Someone has moved the rug recently. There is nothing on the floor. There is nothing on. There is nothing. That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out, just like a chest. That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out,
チェス
just like a
な意外とあれ
chessboard.
で知
I
ってるっ
need
ていうのあるけど
something.
チェスチェス
携帯鳴っていましたけど、気にせずに。先ほどの手紙がヒントになってい
意
ました
外とスムーズに動く人
早送り再生しています。
This last
おー
piece
ようや
should
く
be the
出た
good one. It will have to be pulled
なかな
free.
か難しいぞこれ
I need some.
何かは必要ですけどなおお4月24日私の愛しい人か愛しい人なんて素敵な春そう今日はとても素晴らしい日私たちの大切な末っ子の誕生日ですよ元気に実装する子供の一瞬一瞬にはこの上ない感謝を感じるわ私はねこの子を喋りして近いと思っています最初のことはあなたのことだと思うわあなたに会いたがっている私もです日曜日の晩夏の後は本当に抜けられないのですか私はなんかすごい
いろいろとあったんですね、牧師さん。
なんかすごいなんか痛々し
A
い
packet of letters addressed to the Reverend. They were written by a woman who mentions his illegitimate children. Their affair isn't official.
牧師
Perfect. I
すごい
have
こ
you
とを考
now,
えてますね
my
あなた
wayward Reverend.
あ帰ってきた
帰ってきましたね。
いやーこれはすごい
Ah, Watson, you were gone a terribly long time, and Inspector Baines isn't with you.
I'm afraid not, Holmes. We were unable to find him.
Dr. Watson would not allow me to contact any inspector other than this Baines. What manners! I am a man of the church.
My dear Reverend, I notice that you are a chess lover. I trust you will excuse me, but I am never able to resist the appeal of a half-finished game.
You are an expert at chess. Very well then. What do you want now?
As you might have guessed, resolving your small chess problem has allowed me to discover some very interesting letters.
Letters? What do they say?
Reverend, why hide these letters here and run the risk of the bishop finding them?
Holmes, what's in the letters?
Not now, Watson.
Where else could I have hidden them? My own chambers are too austere. They could offer no cover. I knew, however, that His Excellency, may he rest in peace, would not notice my game.
The contents of the Bishop of Knightsbridge's chest interest me greatly. Give me the elements you hold, Reverend.
Out of the question.
買収させようとする。
Do you understand that you are the prime suspect in this terrible murder?
What? But that's ridiculous.
Think for one moment, who profits from this crime?
Not me.
I think so, yes. With the Bishop of Knightsbridge no longer here, you are now the Apostolic Director of the diocese, are you not?
Yes, until another incumbent is appointed, but...
A position which should logically come to you. The police will not overlook that.
They will never believe you.
But of course they will. Do not forget who I am, Reverend.
You are odious. Here are the stems that you were looking for. You have won.
Evidently, as I always do. What are you able to tell us about the Bishop of Knightsbridge's last days? Did anyone come to visit him? Did he seem worried, anxious? Do not omit the smallest detail.
His nephew came to see him yesterday at His Excellency's request.
Oh.
I found this visit a little peculiar because the young man rarely visits his uncle.
Do you know why that might be? Were they on bad
なんか悪
terms?
かったんか
I
な
don't think so. It's rather a consequence of his work. The young man is employed within the archive section of the Royal Library, which doesn't leave him with a lot of free time.
Do you know the reason for his summons?
No, but the conversation was very heated. It only lasted for a few minutes and ended with the nephew in a terrible rage.
Interesting.
I've answered your questions. Will you now let me contact the authorities?
I'm afraid not, Reverend. Not just yet. All right, now we can open the safe.
金庫開けんのか。急に視点が。操作が慣れへんな。とりあえずこれはまあ開けれるけど、なんか隠されてるのかな。
これの攻略としては、縦、横、斜めが重ならないように置きます。
Now I can open the chest.
よし。
Here we
金庫の
are.
中身だよ。
I am eager to discover what remarkable treasure could justify such an act of barbarity.
Extraordinary.
This chest is impenetrable. How is it possible? No one other than the bishop should be able to open it.
You open the chest with disconcerting ease, Holmes.
I've seen and heard quite enough. This time you won't stop me.
Catch him, Watson.
What the? But why?
Run, Watson. Hurry.
逃げた。
He's escaped. I
Ni
hope that
tanka
your
yo.
motivations are founded, Holmes. I don't much like skirting around the edges of the law like this.
It is annoying. Let's leave without delay.
What have you found in the chest, Holmes? What in there is so precious for these men to commit such terrible acts?
The Reverend was telling the truth. Nothing important was locked inside the chest, apart from a few religious items which are hardly worth stealing.
So, we haven't made any headway. Perhaps the police will.
By the time the police arrive, we shall be a long way from here, Watson. We are leaving.
確かに殺人犯と勘違いされればな。